Okay, so as you know, the topic of the webinar is the future of basketball part two. Last time we had Don again and Jota Cuspinera from Spain, and they gave us a fantastic tour of where the game is at, right, and where they think the game is going, and therefore what that means from a coaching point of view for all of us as coaches of young players. Now, today we're going to try and take that a step further in terms of trying to get into the nitty gritty of how we do that, how we actually do that on the court and what it means for us on the court. So let's have a look. I want to start really with establishing the purpose of youth basketball. And again, by all means, this is my personal view. So I don't expect you all to agree with it, but I know Tim Brentis from the German Basketball Federation is in the room, and I stole this from Tim a couple of years ago. But really, the main purpose of youth basketball is to create basketball citizens. And very few of these players are ever going to play professional basketball, but all of them have a strong chance of becoming a basketball citizen, which is they will enjoy basketball for life, they will play for life, they will watch basketball for life, they might become coaches, administrators, they might make a fortune and then reinvest some of that into basketball. So we want to create those basketball citizens. We want to also use basketball in a positive way to support the development of the children, because what is the point of them being there if all we care about is basketball? Let's try and take it beyond that. And also we want to obviously make sure that we are laying a foundation for them to be able to participate in basketball, and for some of them to actually move on to the performance side of basketball as a young person when they start to become really capable and they want to take it a bit further. Okay, so that's kind of the first part of the philosophy really of what I'm going to talk about, because I'm actually thinking that what I'm going to propose in terms of understanding the game really contributes to all of this, to creating basketball citizens, to supporting positive development, and to laying the foundation for participation and for performance. And then another part of the philosophy is the idea that as coaches working with young people, and it doesn't matter whether they are 6 or 18, okay, it's got to be fun, okay. Size really matters in the sense that we have to break the game down into components that they can understand for where they are in terms of their development as a player. It doesn't matter whether they are again 6 or 18. If they are not at a particular developmental point in their basketball, we have to break the game down for them. We can't just assume that every 14-year-old can do the same things or every 16-year-old can do the same things. And because of that, we also talk about no child left behind, okay, that we have a responsibility to bring everybody along and to differentiate our coaching so we don't leave anybody behind. Okay, so now getting a little bit into the actual nitty-gritty of the topic today. Again, I'm not a coach that is against skills based coaching or against drills, okay? But traditionally, the way we've coached in many places is that we've focused on developing skills, okay? And in basketball, and if you open any basketball book, you have these 4 things: dribbling, passing, shooting, and footwork. Those are the chapters, okay? And that's okay. Those are the tools that we need to play the game, okay? But having those tools doesn't allow you to design a house, okay? Doesn't make you an architect, okay? Understanding the game does that, okay? We want to create players that don't only just have the tools, but actually can put them into practice in the context of the game. We want players that can build a house, okay? And we'll need to give them the tools they need to build the house, but they need to understand how to build the house. That's the analogy that I want to look at. So how do we do that, really? I've been working on this framework really for the last 5 years, first at my club, and then more recently with Basketball England. And I know some of the colleagues that work with me on this at Basketball England are in the audience tonight. So credit to them as well. But really what we try to do is say, okay, the skills are important, okay, and we have to work on the skills, but let's really make those skills useful for the game. So we have to then, first and foremost, before we go to the skills, we have to understand the game, okay? And I'm talking now, we have to understand the game as coaches. And the first thing we need to understand is the purpose of the game. Okay. And in basketball, it's quite simple. So if you look at this section here, the purpose of the offense is to generate and manage advantages to create a high percentage shot. Okay. We want to score. Okay. So we need to generate and manage advantages to create that shot. Okay. What we did was, okay, not only look at the goals, but look as well at the, let me go back, at the fact that we have 4 phases of the game, or 4 moments of the game, we call them. Okay. So from offense, we go to the defensive transition. From that, we go to defense. And from that, we go to the offensive transition and back on the offense. Okay. And in each of those, okay, what we tried to do was to identify what are those situations, those challenges that players are always having to deal with in those situations. So let me give you an example. Let me take you through them. So on the offense, if the goal of the offense is to generate and manage advantages, to create a high percentage shot, there are those 6 things that are happening all the time, regardless of what offense we run, what kind of motion, or what set, or whether that's a zone against man-to-man or against the zone. These things are happening all the time. We need to be able to get open. We need to respect good spacing. We have to move the ball. We have to penetrate the defense. We have to create, once we've created an advantage, we have to be able to extend the advantage, pass it on until we get the best possible shot. And we need to be able to select the best possible shot. Okay. So, and that happens in every phase of the game, in every moment of the game. So let me move on. In the defensive transition, you're going to have the same. Now, the goal changes now. The goal is to avoid quick scores or be able to regain possession. So there are a number of things that we need to try and do to be effective in the defensive transition. Okay. And for all those things, we will need skills. Okay. But the main thing is to understand what we need. Again, on defense, the goal is regaining possession or forcing a low percentage shot. So what do? We disrupt the ball movement. We have to stop penetrating moves. We have to help and rotate. We have to use fouls appropriately. We have to be able to defend special situations. Those might be in terms of defending a special personnel on the other team, or defending down the shot clock, or defending when there's when you're in the team fouls, things like that, and rebounding. Okay, these are things that happen all the time, regardless of what type of defense you play. You have to be able to do these things. And then you need skills. Okay, but the skills are driven by what the game needs, not a skills for a skill's sake. And the same on the offensive transition. Okay, so you see how these things come together. Okay, and I'm going to give you, I'm just going to show you a couple of drills to show you, because the beauty of this approach is that when you then develop your practices and your drills, or your activities, your games, you have to understand which principles of the game you are trying to teach with that activity. Okay, so I'm going to play you this activity quickly. I'm going to play you this video. Have a look at it. It's a 5v4. So the black team has got 5 players, and the white team has only got 4. And these guys are 13 years of age. Okay, so that's me. I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm saying there, let's find the open shot. Let's find the open man. Okay. Okay. All right. So I don't know how well you saw that, but like I say, it's a 5-on-4 where it's an offensive. I mean, you can use that as a defensive drill as well. Okay. But mainly at this point, I'm working on the offense. And if we look at this, what am I working on? We're not working really on getting open here. Okay. Because it's a 5-on-4. Well, we are really starting to work on the spacing. Okay. We are really working on ball movement because they have to find the open player. We're not working on penetration at the moment there. Okay, although you could say that the big guy, who is the only offensive player that is allowed to move, is penetrating the defense by going from one side to another. And we are definitely working on extending the advantage. So because it's a 5-on-4, we've got them chasing, and we want them to stay chasing. And then at some point they have to make a decision when to shoot the ball. They have to decide who's got the best possible shot in that offense. Okay, and that's what we say about teaching through the game and teaching the principles of the game, where where I need to know whenever I put together an activity or a game, what is it that I'm working on. And I'm going to give you another example. It's a similar situation, but now it's 4-on-4 now, so there's no advantage. The only advantage now comes through the fact that the defenders who are in the middle interlocking arms, they're going to have to, when I say go, come out and play defense. And it's going to be a recovery type situation, okay? So let's watch that quickly. It's a short clip. Okay, so again, in that particular game, we are now starting to work on getting open a little bit. The spacing definitely we're working on. We're working on ball movement. We're working on penetrating the defense, extending the advantage, and finding the best shot. So that's how this gets translated to the court. And don't get me wrong, we still do drills, okay? And then based on what they need, because we see them play, we'll be able to say, well, this guy here needs to work on his handles. This guy there really needs to work on his shot. And we build the skills based on what they need for the game and how each of them are doing in relation to the game, as opposed to a blanket approach to building skills. Okay, this is again, as I was saying, we then developed this with Basketball England to support the coaches working in the regional talent development centers. And basically what we did is to build this. How do we, because you cannot teach all the principles of the game at the same time, that you have to find some sort of sequence to build the house slowly, okay? And we just went, okay, well, what do we normally would like to see an under 10 player being able to do, and an under 12 and an under 14? So we created these progressive cards, if you want, where this is just an indication, okay? Because you will have lots of different 9-year-olds and different 12-year-olds. So you have to use your professional judgment here, okay, when you're coaching. But it's just an indication of what might be expected from these players and where you want to take them. So in the under 10s, for example, when we talk about principles of the game, the pucks, really, if you look at the offense, it's very simple. We really want to do a lot of one-on-one stuff. We want to give these kids the skills to play one-on-one, a little bit of getting open, and basic spacing. Okay, that will be the focus, really. And the same, you do the same with the other 4 moments of the game. Okay, that's what we're going to be working on. And obviously with that, you need to work on a number of skills, but it's really understanding what part of the game do we want to teach to a bunch of 9-year-olds, okay? And then, for example, the same with the under 12s. So what do we want to teach the under 12s? Okay, so as before, but then we start adding more detail to the offense and the defense. So we're still one-on-one, but now we want to be able to get open in different ways. Now the spacing, we are going to start really asking them to react to the ball movement. So what happens when the ball dribbles to you, when the ball dribbles away from you, and the same for the defense, okay? But we are constantly building from the game. Okay, and that's what I wanted to present to set the scene for today.